when home becomes our safe haven. The rain hit the windows with sharp, relentless taps. Each drop sounded like tiny whispers in the empty house. Emma sat on the worn sofa, wrapped in a thick blanket. The dim light of the single lamp barely reached the corners of the room. Outside, the wind howled through the trees, shaking the branches violently. She had not expected anyone to come tonight. The streets were flooded, empty, and silent. The news had warned of something unusual in the area, but she had thought it was only an exaggeration. Suddenly, a sound echoed from the hallway. A slow, deliberate creak of the floorboards. Like someone was walking with caution. Emma froze, her fingers tightening around the blanket. Her heart thumped, loud and irregular, as if it wanted to escape her chest. The lights flickered once, then steadied. She could smell something faint in the air. A mix of damp wood and something metallic. Her eyes strained to see into the darkness of the hallway. The shadows seemed longer, moving unnaturally with the flickering light. A door at the end of the hall shifted slightly. It was subtle, almost unnoticeable. But Emma had seen enough horror movies to know this was not ordinary. She wanted to call out, but her voice caught in her throat. A cold breeze touched her neck, though every window was closed. The lamp swayed gently as if reacting to an unseen presence. A sudden crash came from the kitchen, followed by the sound of breaking glass. Emma forced herself to stand. Her bare feet pressed against the cold wooden floor. Every step felt like walking on ice, and the house seemed to grow larger, darker, more unfamiliar. She moved toward the kitchen, her hand trembling as she reached for the doorframe. Nothing was there at first. Shards of glass glittered in the faint light. A chair was overturned, its legs pointing at impossible angles. The window above the sink was wide open, letting in the storm. She felt exposed, vulnerable, yet she knew she had to secure the house. Then she noticed the faint outline of footprints in the spilled water on the floor. They led from the open window straight into the living room. Emma's stomach churned with a sudden, icy fear. Someone had been inside while she thought she was alone. Her mind raced, searching for explanations. It could have been the wind, an animal, anything. But something in the air told her otherwise. A shadow moved at the edge of her vision. She turned slowly, and the hallway seemed to stretch endlessly. A dark tunnel leading to the unknown. She backed away, her breath sharp and uneven. The sound of dripping water echoed like distant footsteps behind her. She wanted to call the police, to run outside, to escape. But the storm trapped her inside, making the walls feel like they were closing in. Emma remembered the old lock on the back door. It was sturdy, ancient, a relic from the house's early days. She ran to it, fumbling with the key in her shaking hands. The lock clicked, and she pushed the door closed. For a moment, the house felt like it belonged to her again. A safe haven. Then a whisper floated from the hallway, barely audible. A voice that was not her own. It said her name, soft, deliberate, chilling. The lights flickered again, and in that instant, Emma understood she was not alone. Emma froze in place, her body rigid as the whisper repeated her name. This time it was louder, clearer, almost impatient. She could feel her pulse in her throat, pounding so fiercely that it drowned out all other sounds. The storm outside had intensified, lightning flashing through the windows, casting stark shadows across the room. Every shadow now seemed alive. The furniture appeared to twitch and shift when she was not looking directly at it. The house she had always considered a sanctuary now felt like a trap. Her safe haven had transformed into a labyrinth of fear. She forced herself to breathe deeply. One step, then another, toward the hallway. Each movement was cautious, calculated. Her hands brushed against the walls for guidance, the paint cool and sticky with moisture. The hallway seemed endless. The shadows deepened with every step, swallowing the familiar outlines of the doors she had known since childhood. A cold draft swept past her, carrying with it the faint smell of iron. Blood. Her stomach turned violently at the thought. She pushed it aside, telling herself it was only water from the storm, the wind, nothing more. Then the whisper came again, closer now, echoing directly behind her. She spun around, heart hammering, but saw nothing. The house was silent except for the storm and her own frantic breathing. A sudden thud came from upstairs, loud and deliberate. Emma froze, terror rooting her to the spot. The sound was too controlled to be accidental. Someone, or something, was moving above her. Her mind raced, trying to think rationally. She remembered the old attic door, always locked, always dusty. The sound had come from that direction. Her instincts screamed at her to run, to flee into the storm. But she could not leave the house unsecured. She could not let whoever, or whatever, inside roam freely. Summoning every ounce of courage, she crept toward the stairs. The staircase creaked under her weight. Each step was like a gunshot in the empty house. The air grew colder as she climbed, the shadows clinging to her like living things. At the top, the hallway stretched before her, narrower and darker than downstairs. The attic door was slightly ajar. Emma's hand trembled as she reached for the knob. It was icy to the touch, sending a shock of fear through her body. With a deep breath, she pushed the door open. The attic was empty, bathed in dim moonlight streaming through a small, grimy window. Boxes and old furniture created towering silhouettes that loomed like silent watchers. Nothing moved, nothing breathed, nothing seemed alive, except for the oppressive sense of being watched. Emma stepped inside, her eyes scanning the room. Then she heard it again, a soft shuffle behind a stack of boxes. She froze, staring at the shifting shadows. A figure emerged slowly, impossibly tall, its features obscured by darkness. Emma's mind struggled to comprehend what she was seeing. The figure's head tilted unnaturally, as if observing her every movement. The air grew heavier, harder to breathe. She could hear her own heartbeat in her ears. The storm outside seemed to fade, replaced by a suffocating silence. The figure moved closer, gliding rather than walking. Emma wanted to scream, but the sound would not come. Suddenly, the lights flickered violently. A flash of lightning illuminated the figure. It was humanoid, but its face was featureless, smooth, pale, and reflective. Emma stumbled backward, falling against a box, the contents tumbling around her. Her breath came in short, sharp gasps. Every instinct told her to run, yet the attic door was now a shadowy distance away. The figure extended a hand, slow and deliberate. Emma felt a coldness seep into her bones as if the air itself had frozen. She backed further into a corner, heart screaming, mind searching for an escape. Then a sound like glass breaking came from downstairs. The figure paused, turning its head slightly. Emma took the opportunity to dash toward the attic door. Her foot caught on a loose board, sending her crashing to the floor. Pain shot through her leg, but she forced herself up. The hallway outside the attic seemed longer, darker, and more twisted than before. The familiar layout of her house had changed. Doors led to walls, walls led to hallways that did not exist. It was as if the house itself had become a maze, alive and malevolent. Emma's ears picked up another whisper, this time multiple voices overlapping, calling her name in a chorus of chilling tones. Her hands shook as she fumbled with the lock of the back door. Lightning struck nearby, illuminating the backyard in a stark, eerie light. Her breath hitched, the storm's roar muffling the strange, whispering voices. Finally, the lock clicked. She pushed the door open and ran into the pouring rain. The cold water soaked through her clothes, but she hardly noticed. Her eyes searched for something familiar outside, some way to safety. She heard footsteps behind her, soft, careful, echoing on the wooden floors of the house. Emma did not look back. She ran blindly, slipping in the mud, branches scratching at her face and arms. A sudden movement to her left caught her eye. A shadow flitted across the yard, impossibly fast. It was following her, silent and relentless. She reached the fence, climbing with every ounce of strength. Her hands slipped, catching only at the cold metal. The shadow was closer now, almost tangible, a presence pressing against her back. She reached the top of the fence, her foot landing on the wet ground beyond. Emma did not stop. She ran down the street, drenched, heart pounding, never looking back. When she finally stopped, gasping for breath, the street was empty. The storm raged on, but she was alone. Her home, the house that had once been her safe haven, loomed behind her in darkness. It was silent now, waiting, patient, as if nothing had happened. Emma realized that some places, some walls, were meant to protect. Other times, they were meant to trap. Her house had become both. A distant whisper reached her ears, almost drowned by the storm. It said her name softly, intimately, reminding her that the safety she had once known could never truly be reclaimed. Days passed after that stormy night. Emma did not return to the house immediately. She stayed with a friend, her mind unable to shake the memories of the whispers, the shadows, the featureless figure. Eventually, she knew she had to face her home. It was her sanctuary, her life, and she could not let fear control her forever. She approached the front door slowly, each step measured, each breath steady. The house looked as it always had, ordinary and still. No sounds, no shadows, no eerie presence. She unlocked the door, half expecting the darkness to leap out at her. But nothing happened. Inside, the familiar smells of home greeted her: wood polish, faint traces of tea, the comforting warmth of familiar walls. Emma walked through the rooms cautiously, touching the furniture, the walls, confirming they were solid, real, safe. In the hallway, she paused and closed her eyes. She realized that the fear she felt had grown in her mind as much as it had in the house. The storm had passed. The whispers, the shadows, the terror, they were echoes, remnants of a night of panic and imagination. She lit a lamp and sat on the sofa, pulling her blanket around her. For the first time since that night, she felt peace. The house was still her safe haven. She would always remember that fear could visit even the most familiar places. But courage, patience, and presence of mind could reclaim them. Outside, the sun broke through the clouds. The rain had washed the streets clean. Birds chirped softly, the air was fresh, and the world felt calm once more. Emma smiled faintly, feeling the warmth of home embrace her. She knew now that safety was not only the walls and roof above her, but also the resolve inside her heart. Her house, her safe haven, had welcomed her back. And this time, she would never forget how strong she could be.